It is a pleasure to welcome you to second edition of the lecture series on advancements in geotechnical engineering, from research to practice. The AGERP lecture series is a pro bono initiative led by Dr. Partha Mishra and Professor Sarat Das. Initiated in 2020, it is aimed at disseminating the coupled learnings from academia and industry on some of the key topics in geotechnical engineering. Today's lecture is on AI and Big Data in Geotechnics, which will be delivered by Dr. Robert C. Bacchus, Professor Sarat Kumar Das and Dr. Nick Makeras. Dr. Sarat Kumar Das is a professor and head of the Department of Civil Engineering at the Indian Institute of Technology, Indian School of Mines, Dhanbad, India. Professor Das obtained his bachelor's degree in civil engineering from College of Engineering and Technology Bhubaneswar, India, followed by his master's and PhD degrees in geotechnical engineering from Indian Institute of Technology, Kanpur, India. Supported by the Endeavour Research Fellowship of the Australian Government, he undertook his postdoctoral training at James Cook University, Townsville, Australia. Professor Das has about 30 years of experience in civil and geotechnical engineering, both in the fronts of academia and industry. His research interests include AI and optimization methods in geotechnical engineering, geoenvironmental engineering, and biogeotechnics. Professor Das has published more than 100 technical articles in journals, conferences and as book chapters, and has supervised 6 PhD students to completion. He is an editorial board member of Environmental Geotechnics, ICE, and International Journal of Geotechnical Engineering, and reviewed for more than 60 technical journals, top 1% in Crossfield Reviewer. He is a founding co-convener of the AGERP lecture series, an ex-executive committee member of the Indian Geotechnical Society, and a technical committee member of the International Society for Soil Mechanics and Geotechnical Engineering. Professor Das has delivered many invited and distinct keynotes, including a theme lecture on AI methods in the Asian Regional Conference of ISSMGE.
Hello everybody. Actually when Bob has created the foundation for this big data, here I'll tell about the static, and my next presentation will be by Nick. So he will rather elaborate on the future scope of this AI techniques. I'll discuss something because as Bob was saying, and some people has thought about how to use it. And there in one of the slide, Bob was saying change is inevitable and some changes are good. Because many a time we think old is gold. But in our one Indian epic, it's there, just because it's old, it will not be good, nor a composition because new need be faulty. So accomplished person select one of the two after proper examination. Ignorant goes by the opinion of others. Because this is what I said. Always we say ANN is a black box system. Statistical method is old, and that's gold. So if you'll see, we say true beauty lies in the nature, and nature is the best teacher. When you look at that, how the stems comes in a tree, or how's the growth of these plants and other animals, they follow a certain pattern. Or in a rabbit per generation also I follow a very good number. Later on it is developed because nature is creating this. We call it as a Fibonacci number. You might have heard about in mathematics. This is one of the beautiful pictures, Mona Lisa, famous all around the world. Later on, scientists found that it follows certain proportion. That proportion is a golden section proportion. So these changes, has just followed the nature, because nature is the best teacher. So when we talk about this artificial intelligence, artificial neural network, we have also followed the nature. Now just Bob was talking about 1943. Thomas Watson was talking about only 5 computers are required. And the same here, McCulloch and Pitts, they thought through a logic, a device, binary device. They can make a logic function called A or B and A and B. That much only they could do at that time using some computer. Later on, Pratt Rosenwald in 1958, he made the gender classification. That will again 2, not on like now we have to make it 3, but that time only 2 gender classification they made it. And when Minsky and Papert in 1969 did some research, they found it's not good. It's not going to work. Till 1986, and then after what happened, after that, the funding stopped. Nobody worked on this artificial intelligence or artificial neural network, they call it. But in Rumelhart and McLeod in 1986 published a book, Parallel Distributed Processing. That started the beginning of this artificial neural network, which is the beginning of this artificial intelligence. They just follow what our nervous system, human body is working. We are getting some information. We have got a processing unit. And then that processing unit is giving instruction to some other part of the body to work. That was the motivation to work in this artificial neural network. So it is a nervous system or neural network, but in mathematics, we call it is artificial because it's not true one. Because if you see, human nervous system has got 3 into 10 to the power 10 neurons. This body, central body processing unit. So that processing nature has built and it is working. Now we have to define some processing unit which will work for us. And when this is 3 into 10 to the power 10, here it admits some hundreds. That is in artificial neural network. So the first problem when I started in 21 years before, what is this neural network? As an engineer, because another problem, another issue I'll say when they were saying gold is gold or neural network is black box, because there is a difference between the science and engineering. Science tries to find out the truth. They never compromise the truth. Time is not a constraint, but for engineers, time is a constraint. We may compromise to a certain extent the truth. So this neural network is developed by mostly the engineers. So with the motivation from the nature, and that is again the electrical science engineers. So first I try to understand, being a civil engineer, what is they are calling neuron. Neuron means just a function. If I write a function as f equal to x1 square, if I give 3, it should give me 9. So they are saying neuron, I understand it is equal to y is equal to fx. Then they are saying neural network. It's a series of neurons, that's why they are saying neural network. Then they call it architecture. The model, whether you are going for linear model, non-linear model, a discriminant model, what type of model you are going for, according they are saying architecture. In electrical science or in computer science, they call it architecture. They are saying training or learning. We have done it at given me x and y value, I can fit a car between y and x. That they are saying training or learning. We do classification. That is one called discriminant analysis. They say classification. We do regression. They say supervised learning. We say principal component analysis in statistics. They say unsupervised learning. Then there is one called training set and testing set. We don't take all the data to develop the model. We keep something to validate it. So they divide into two parts called training set and testing set. So this took me 2-3 months to just understand what they're saying in the language. It's worth taking because I know I try to convert to my language even when I do a multiplication in Roman numeric. So this, I thought this may be like that. These terms are different to me. Let me take it to my domain, because in geotechnical engineering, we have used lots of statistical or empirical correlations. Then they are saying different types of the architecture. They say simply BPNN and backpropagation neural network or recurrent neural network. So I try to want what they are saying. When they say BPN, I say, oh, they are talking about a predictive model. When they are saying recurrent, they are using it again and again, that the stress-strain relationship. Because stress and strain, they are continuously increasing. The previous data is information is required. But when it comes to the prediction, the previous information not required, that now X1, then what is Y1? Then they say unsupervised network, what I can do? I can do some classification. And one more, they say radial basis function neural network. What do you mean by the radial basis function? I remember that Fourier series. Sine function, cosine function, I can, then using that, I can make any function into a series. Oh, that's, they are saying a basis function. That is how they are saying generalized regression neural network. If the target value is continuous, but suppose the target value is 0 and 1, categorical. I am talking about liquefaction. If it is 0 or liquefied 1, liquefied. So then I can go for probabilistic neural network. So this is first I try to understand what they are saying. So also this became learning to everybody to know that which neural network I have to use or where to use it. What is this? They are saying learning. So this is nothing but error optimization. When you fit it, X and Y, you define a function, you have got constant C1, C2, C0, and so on. Then minimize that error so that you get C0, C1, C2, then you fit the actual model. So that's what they are doing. And they are not saying the constants or coefficients. They are saying weights and biases. So this is what minimize this error function. This is predicted actual. And what we do if I want to minimize y or minimize fx, I say del fx by del x is equal to 0, or that should be minimum. That's what I have done. But when I went there, I found this function what they are using is called a sigmoid function. The sigmoid function by mathematics definition is that it's a bounded function, it's continuous, it is differentiable. And beauty of it is, if you see fz, it's 1 by 1 plus e to the minus z, that's what they are using. This f, what we are saying, y is equal to fx, that f is equal to 1 by 1 plus e to the minus ez, or another one, this is called logistic sigmoid, another is tangent sigmoid. But you see how I del f by del z is equal to, I don't do any differentiation. It is simply multiplication of fz into 1 minus fz. That was the beauty of taking the sigmoid function. So it was working. Later on, people thought, or it didn't work for some function. So then we say, we know many of the optimization methods. Why don't use it? With traditional optimization, like Leavenworth marker, that you use LLM in short. Conjugated method, it will go to MATLAB toolbox. But later on, we also use some evolutionary optimization, that simulated analytic, genetic algorithm, evolution, differential evolution, and so on. So here we have to make a term if we want to use it properly. So then we say black box, okay? So then later on there becomes lots of development in it. Look at, say, we say black box, because nothing is visible what is happening inside. We try to develop it. Some of the tree-based system, we say genetic programming. Genetic evolution programming, somebody said. And partially they could understand how it is doing. Then now we'll able to know what we are doing, how it is working. Like one example, if you say ELM I've written, it's called extreme learning machine. It is purely based on mathematics, but the concept is same like neural network. And the latest they are saying deep learning neural network. Why they call it as black box, or what was the problem? They were not getting a model equation initially. This overfitting is an issue. There is a local minima, because as I said in the previous slide, I want to minimize the error. And if you clearly look at this diagram, you see, this is, I want to find out this minimum error, but sometimes we talk of it here called local minimum in optimization. So these are the drawbacks of NN, for which now there are so many developments. Like one method, group method of data handling was there in 1960 or 70, around 70s in USSR, but nobody was knowing it. Rather than we are now saying polynomial neural network. So then another one called support vector machine. So these two, I'll say the support vector machine said, we want to use with statistical learning, not this artificial learning. He said the total error is model error and learning error. Learning error means just find out the weights, but there could be what the function you are talking about. You are talking about linear function, non-linear function. So there also you are doing some certain error. So the total error, he said, you can take care of it. And this is what called total based on statistics, because statistician says this artificial intelligence is a black, or neural network particularly, is a black box system. So they said that this data, I can fit it with piecewise linear or piecewise non-linear. This is scattered data, I want to fit it piecewise linear or piecewise non-linear with selling in between. It's a linear or maybe a spline function. Here it is a knot. And then it is a tree-based system, what I was saying, genetic programming. So these are the developments over this neural network. And now neural network has become like from black box to gray box to white box, because we are following certain aspects of statistics. But whatever you use, you have to get it. I was saying a transfer function, or the function what you are using. There are different types of transfer function in a neural network. Since neural network is being used, it is called a step function. -1 to 1, the value has to be. But if it is a linear function, any value. And if it is a logistic sigmoid, it should be 0 to 1. And when it is hyperbolic tangent sigmoid function, -1 to 1. So what it tells, the function is a bounded function and it is in a domain. So when you want to use your database, try to keep it in that. So what we have done, we normalize the data from -1 to 1, 0 to 1. And some people cautiously, if you see, if your neural network, they have taken instead of 0, they have started with 0.1 to 0.9. Oh, this part is better. Somebody is still 0.2 to 0.8. So this you have to understand what this transfer function you are using. And another thing, the database. We have a simple example of hydraulic conductivity of clay. 10 to the -5, 10 to the -7, 10 to the minus, if it is, I'm talking about clay liners. If it is sand, it 10 to the -3. If I plot it, you see the value and find out the actual value. If I take it, skewness, which is biased, I mean, one of the statistical measure is 6.03. But if I take its log value, the skewness is 0.24. So obviously, when you go for a prediction model, don't use its actual value, go for its logarithmic value. And further, as I said, which function you are using it, then you have to take 0 to 1, normalize to 0 to 1 if you are taking logistic sigmoid, minus 1 to 1 if you will go for hyperloop transmit. So this is another problem. If you say it was talking that generalization overfitting. Always we do, since we are plotting in a graph sheet, I have certain data, I try to fit a sinusoidal curve here. Here, if you'll see, here I have tried to join all the points with the curve possible, but that equation is very, very complicated. Maybe a function, polynomial function of degree 7, 8, and so on. And sometimes we leave certain points and fit it. This is called underfitting. This is called overfitting. And this is what we want. We need not take all the points. We leave certain points, but I see that it follows or takes most of the points. That we do in a graph sheet. That we want to do it. So this is called overfitting. If you want to just fit it to the exact R square value, this is what I have done initially. I was saying training it to get R square value or R value is 1. But when I go with a new data, value was very poor. But what I want, I don't want a very good value for training or very poor value for testing. So training and testing values should be comparable. Then my model is good and there will be no overfitting. Nobody will say that your model is only site specific. So for this, you have to do some exercise. We do one is called k-fold cross validation. We divide the data. Suppose I consider first this 75% for training, this 25% testing. Then this first 50 plus here, split 2. This is when I'm talking about the shaded area for test cases and unshaded area for training. You see in which data partition I'm considering for training and testing. And another approach is called Bayesian regularization. Because these weights, what I'm getting minimum, because in neural network, initially when they do it, they simply use minimization of mean square error. That's not sufficient. We have to also minimize the weights. The weights should not be very high. Because that is another example, what we call the bias. The bias value, everybody understand what's the bias. It's a small adjustment. And in your model, if that bias value is high, whatever the artificial intelligence model you have developed, so that model is not going to work. So you have to be very careful about the bias value. And similarly, the weights value also. Because those are the coefficients. Next, if you will see here, as I said we are getting some local minima with which I am fitting the error. Here I have taken LM, 11 bar backward, which MATLAB toolbox by default does it. This is the correlation value for training and testing. And if I use Bayesian regularization, this is 1. And if I go for differential evolution, it is like this. This is I am talking about correlation coefficient. Another I am talking about coefficient of efficiency. This coefficient, I will say with an example. People see the correlation values may be good, but the coefficient efficiency value may not be good. And when it comes to this overfitting, another or generalization, another issue is that how many sample you have got and accordingly how complex model you are developing. The model will depend on the number of complexity of the model will depend upon the weights and biases. If you are taking lots of weights and biases, as I said in the previous case, if you will take a higher degree polynomial, obviously it will fit to R square value 1 or R value 1. But that will have a poor value for the new data. So what is important is that how many data you have got, accordingly you choose the complexity of the model. So data set is less, don't go for complex model. So this example, what I was saying, R and E. This data also show me R value is 0.946, and this data also show me R value 0.944. But obviously, who is say? You say this data fitting is good, but then why this R value is giving very high? So this you have to try to understand. This example, I saw in a just in a database, I try to fit it. So then I discuss, and this I discussed in one journal. So this is very interesting. So I said why I told this one, because when you are saying black box, in the sense you have to use different statistical performance criteria, not only with R. Only R is not sufficient. So here, if you'll see, I have compared for a uplift capacity of suction pile or suction Kyson actually, rather. I have used genetic programming, artificial neural network. This is with finite element method one, the mechanist based method was there. Support vector machine, relevance vector machine, all AI methods here I have tried it. But I have not compared with only correlation coefficient or only efficiency, also coefficient of efficiency. Then the arithmetic calculation of mean and standard deviation of predicted versus measured. Its cumulative probability, 50% cumulative probability and 90% cumulative probability. The distribution, 20% plus or minus 20% accuracy in the log normal or histogram distribution. For each criteria, I'm giving them the rank. In this, which is better? As per arithmetic calculation, which is rank better? So this way I'll do. And finally, which have got the less rank index, that is the best model. Because these are not panacea. These artificial intelligence are nothing but a numerical methods. No numerical methods are panacea. So you have to choose a proper numerical method. That's important. Accordingly, so here you have to don't get satisfied with one of the statistical performance criteria. You try to use different statistical performance criteria. Again, you check its sensitivity, because you know, physically you know, suppose I want to find out pile load capacity. What are the factors? This is for the suppose say I'm talking about capacity, it should be the L by D ratio. It's the underinsertion of the soil. So then I will also follow different approach. Which approach is giving me the best or close towards the physical phenomena? So then only people will appreciate that the model what you are developing, it is not a black box. It is and have some meaning and is following the physical pattern. Finally, can you give an equation? Because they'll ask, what is the equation finally? Yes, we can give the equation. A nonlinear equation was looking like this, that what you have done in your statistics. I can also give an equation in my artificial neural network in this way, but it's too complex. It's true. But when I can write down in a code, fit it into a microprocessor in an instrument, it can work. Partha, when I was a student, wrote all this code. He was developing a microprocessor for a small instrument. Next, so this equation, if you go for NN, oh, so lengthy. But for genetic programming, it's short. So this equation, what you want? Yes, because now you can say it's a black box. We have got some equation. I can work with it. This equation will depend upon, I have used different methods here, like ANN initially, then MGGP, that genetic programming, in March, which I was saying based on statistical method, is a functional network. They also somehow said more towards statistics. So I can get one equation. And nobody is working now on equation with a slide calipers, what Bob was saying. So we have got a calculator, or mostly a computer or at best a calculator, and this equation we can program a calculator also will do it. So here I am talking about another example. Some actually now I'll tell some examples. Suppose say for site characterization. The problem now, you see so many in situ tests have come up. Here I have written something taken from Mann et al. 2009 ISSMG conference. Later on, many things have been developed. Before that, because this curve I found really interesting, it was Lambe in 1973 he's presented. The important when Bob was talking about the data, now we want to go for sophisticated analytical method. That time numerical method was not also. He was talking about analytical methods. Now, even now also I keep it in the same way. Suppose I am going for sophisticated AI methods. I have to also should have precision of data. Otherwise, you look at the accuracy will reduce. If your precision of data, I mean, suppose you are getting very good AI model, but your data is not good, you will get poor performance 20%. So if you have got both, look at here. You have got very good AI model, good precision data, it will be 80% efficiency. Here I have got some example of predicting SPT value in one dimensional, and here in 3-dimensional there was some scattered. I have done it with ANN only. So another thing we can do clustering. What is this clustering? You see this top one, 3, 3, 6, and 10. A 10 was there, but they're different colors. And I want like this. Oh, segregated. That can be done. That can be done with self-organizing maps. This is what this I mean Paul Mann, Hejagi and Mann, they did with hierarchical clustering, which is a classical method. Then I did with a self-organizing map, which is an artificial network method, or fuzzy clustering method. Fuzzy also you have heard about it. And this is as per the Robertson or Robertson and Campbell. So they are recently in 2016 they have developed it. Based on that, I have not developed this equation. This method was I developed in 2004. So this you can also make a clustering approach. And what you will do, as I was saying, you develop certain model or equation, fit it into that CPT, and then it will give you this, I mean, stratification as an output, help you go. But here, as I said you, I have used that parameters of BQ and TQ. Actually, those who are good in CPT, they can find it out. But later in 2016, Robertson has developed this, I mean, better parameters. Using that also people can develop it. And now what is that? This Satyam is working on. Another one, as I will say, this liquefaction, another, as I said, where to use it? Liquefaction analysis. It's a very complex phenomenon. Statistical method we don't have. Spatially, the soil is variable. So obviously what we have to go for, we have to go for something working that engineers want. And now we are using AI methods. This is based on the deterministic method left-hand side, and right-hand side is a probabilistic-based method. This actually you can develop the probabilistic curve also using this genetic program, which is another artificial intelligence method. And this is what I have done. Because when I started with the ANN, it was simply two parts, 0 or 1. That means if it is 0 to 0.5, we are saying it is 0. And more than 0.5, anything value we are saying is 1. That is how we are doing the prediction. And then we are saying it is successful. So that I said, no, it is based on this becomes a very flexible criteria. We can still take it. Only if 0.85 to 1 or 0 to 0.1.15, that will say that it is how quickly, I mean, how best it can calculate. That is based on the probability range. That also you can do it. There are different methods. Huang using ANN method, Olson and Robertson are statistical method, and here with AI methods, genetic. Both ANN and GP are AI methods, but as I said, there is. So then I was saying that I was in differential evolution to minimize instead of this standard, I mean, what I'll say, traditional optimization method. So that evolution method, we use it called multi-objective feature selection. The problem is, when you go for this liquefaction analysis, sometimes the field engineers say, I don't have all the information when it comes to, I want to say whether to liquefy or not, sometimes. Or the number of data is so less, I cannot, if I take all the parameters with less number of data, the complex function cannot be fixed. Or sometimes some of the parameters has got very least contribution to my model. So in computer science, they call it as a feature selection. So that feature selection here we have applied to, okay. So this diagram, I try to compare it. You will see this. This is what we have done. We have used this artificial intelligence method with evolutionary optimization method. This is a flow chart. I will not go for it. And look at this. I'll just take 2 minutes. Here I have taken, as the number of features is increasing, all the parameters I am considering, whatever I put it because it's done by the computer. I give all the inputs, let it get different types of inputs. Let's see, the computer will do it. Can do it. But see, what is the problem it is happening? This is the training error. As I increase the number of inputs is decreasing, but the testing error, they are increasing. So I need something like this. I don't want to go here. So these I need to find out. This is called identifying the proper features which are really contributing. I may sacrifice with certain truth, as I said, as an engineer, but it should not be catastrophic for new case. That time the error will be too high to manage. So here I have shown you with different types of features. Selection method with called artificial neural network, which is prediction model, and this evolutionary algorithm called non-sort dominated genetic algorithm, which is called evolutionary optimization method. So this is based on the SPT. Similarly, we have got using CPT or using zero velocity. So we don't need all the features if we follow this type of artificial intelligence techniques. So just finally, I will say with a big table, no need to go. Because many times we simply said overall, it is able to classify 90% liquefied case and 70% or 80% of non-liquefied cases. But we can do it also. In each case wise, in the liquefied cases, how is the efficiency? In non-liquefied cases, what is the efficiency? And in overall, there is one term called G-mean error when it comes to the classification problem, because this classification for our liquefaction or sometimes called slope stability, we use it. But in bioinformatics, they use it hugely to identify the digits based on the data, huge database they have got. So they say, when I'm talking about the number of cases, it should not be biased. If it is biased, then this MOFA should also work. Like You will see here, liquefied case 138, but non-liquefied case is 43. And if we, this type of data will go for classification with ANN, oh, it may not work properly. There we have to use something called feature selection algorithm. So you have to use ANN with feature selection. So this will help me in checking at F stage what's the error. So this I have done shown with a table, just SPT, CPT, and CRO values based for liquefaction analysis. So finally, I'll say it should be used when mechanics-based methods are not available. If it is available, no need to go for it. But for our complex geotechnical engineering, many times, mechanics method fails. So we need a best method. Proper implementation of AI model depends upon suitable pre-processing, architecture, generalization considered. This can be used for sites characterization with interpretation of in-situ tests. Here I have told you about only the CPT. Now think about your GPR and so on. It's a very good tool for probabilistic method. And obviously, the future of AI is bright and journey should continue. Thank you. These are my students who has contributed for my work. Thank you all. Okay, so if we'll see this liquefaction analysis, we are talking about different. One is called deterministic method, probabilistic method, and also I didn't show you one more called reliability-based method. So when I come to that, the type of logistic function I have used, tan sigmoid function in artificial neural network. When I was in genetic programming, no need to go for be very specific. We give logarithmic, trigonometric function, exponential function with polynomial, and automatically the genetic programming tries to find out which fits well with error between the for the training and testing are comparable. Yes. When they're talking about long-term stability, this is called extrapolation. I forgot to tell you, always artificial intelligence methods best predicts the interpolation, but if you see that function I was talking about, you can also, if you go with that linear function or extrapolation, is possible. And accordingly, you have to use a proper transfer function if you are using artificial neural network. But if you are using other artificial intelligence method, then you should have sufficient data in terms of the time variation. In the sense, I suppose want to predict for 96 days, or suppose I want to predict after 365 days, I should have data for 3, 7, 14, 28. So at least some data points I have got, so that I can, as I said, the minimum data points if I have got, then only I can predict to the future. This is possible, but you should have sufficient input files in the terms of time, as I'm saying day, or maybe mostly should be day, because when talking about MICP, they are thinking of to extrapolate in terms of days, months, or years. So you should have some intermediate values, sufficient gap. So actually what happens, generally, I didn't discuss that in artificial method, training to testing varies from 70-30 to say 85 to 15 and so on. Some people also take 65 for training and 35 for testing. What we are doing, we are keeping that data set fixed. Suppose I take 70% for training, we take 70% for testing, and 30% I have kept aside for testing. So this training data, I try to develop model, and simultaneously I'm testing, I'm training, checking with testing data. and then comparing the error in the model. So that is what it's showing. If saying it is getting that there is a mismatch or that is a difference in error between the training and testing, it goes with another function. It tries with another set of iteration. And then when this training and testing error are very close, and that is possible, or that is what I have developed, we call Pareto set in multi-objective optimization. They call it a Pareto set. When you have got two conflicting, I have got one conflicting, I want to minimize the training error. I also want to minimize the testing error. So I want to get a point where both should match. So this training and testing data is already fixed. They are separated. Yes, because in general, the data set should be divided into three parts: training, testing, and validation. But in geotechnical engineering, many times we are handicapped with the number of data points. So for that only, we are dividing into training and testing. As I said you, because the number of weights, that is the model complexity, and the number of data points are highly correlated. If the number of data points is not large, you cannot develop a good model. So we need a very good number of data points for training. And again, for testing, minimum data points should be 6 as per statistics. So then keeping it for validation, because otherwise people keep it 70% for training, 15% for testing, another 15% for validation. Because sometimes I give this example in terms of cricket, county cricket match in his home country and cricket match in another country. So county is just like training, testing is the home country playing test match also, and validation when he plays very good in the outside also, any pitch. So that is something like training, testing, and validation. Yes, actually I'll say I have seen that when there used to be lots of comments on this ANN as a black box system, and I was trying to get the provers to prove that this method is old, but sorry, this method is new, but not that bad. And over the years, this has been simplified so many times. Now it should not be difficult in interpreting the values, and it has got a huge potential for a field like geotechnical engineering, where we have got a particular system, 3-phase mechanistic method. And when we are using GPR, collecting data in 7 hours and analyzing data for 7 days. So when these are the difficulties, AI has got a big role. As Bob was saying, database is important. Then, as the Nick will further elaborate in the future, because I was talking about most of the techniques existing, and some are old like 30 years, and some are 20 years. But now, with deep learning neural network, this has come to a stage what the computer scientists or in other fields and social science also are doing it, we can do in geotechnical engineering. Thank you.